running order today that we had adventure racing. I was none the wiser, as I'm sure most of you weren't. So as we head up to the Outer Hebrides with Connie Henry, the best people to tell you about it are the people who are about to do it.
Being in the outdoors, in a number of different sports, whether it's running, biking, canoeing, horse riding, etc.
You've got 4 or 5 people in a team to get through, so you've got to look after each other.
It's tough physically and mentally.
It's life sort of condensed into a short period of time, so you get all the highs and all the lows. It's fantastic.
The Outer Hebrides. Magnificent, dramatic, inspiring, and home of the Hebridean Challenge, one of Europe's toughest adventure races.
Thanks.
What is the Hebridean Challenge?
I would describe it as an epic 250-mile journey through the Outer Hebridean Islands. It's for teams of 5, which must include at least 1 female. The teams kayak, run, swim and cycle between the islands of Barra in the south and Lewis in the north.
The 2002 Hebridean Challenge started with a Le Mans-style running start. The morning fog had lifted to give bright sunny conditions for the 21 teams taking part. It soon became apparent 2 teams would dominate the kayaking: Ian Tordoff for Team Wales and Sean Morley for Compede Maxim. The Welsh team continued to push ahead with Aled Rees, but defending champions Parrot Lithgow were not far behind with Jim Davis. This is the second day of the Hebridean Challenge. These guys behind me have been up since 5 o'clock this morning. They now have a 15-kilometre paddle to the island of South Uist, where the race continues.
Go!
Following the results of the previous day, the fastest kayakers started last, a full 30 minutes behind the rest. But the race was soon again led by one man. Ian Tordoff here from Team Wales is over 10 minutes ahead of the rest of the field. Now, he's been on the water for about an hour and he's making it look easy. That's because he's one of the best marathon canoeists in the world. What do you think about all these adventure races? A bit mad?
Very mad. I can't believe the amount of effort and pain they put themselves through. I mean, I'm just doing the kayaking, which is relatively easy compared to what they're doing. I think I've done a few strange things in my time, but this probably tops it.
Once Tordoff arrived, Aled Rees set off on the 1-kilometre swimming leg, clad in full bodysuit to protect him from the freezing water. However, facing the runners was 4,000 feet of climbing over a 25-kilometre run, and Dylan Jones from Team Wales started to suffer.
It's been really hot weather here, which I think we're taking a bit of time to adjust to, and the wind as well obviously saps your energy. And on the long run, which was a over 2-hour run, Dylan got really dehydrated and got cramps, so he actually had to stop for sort of 20 minutes to sort of get himself together. The team's still upbeat. We're coming back through the field now, so we're still keen and we're still giving it our best.
As Team Wales faltered, 2 teams came to the fore, favourites and hill running specialist Parrot Lithgow. But the surprise came from Brendan Bolland and John Whittaker of Compede Maxim, who really impressed, taking over the lead and finishing on top at the end of day 2. Day 3 started with a short ferry crossing, where there were only 2 things on the competitors' agenda: sleep and food.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
However, Parrot Lithgow had one other thing on their minds.
As we were driving along early this morning, and
a deer wandered out in front of the van. The deer's winded, the van's off the road. It damaged the radiator. And I was in tears on the side of the road, put it that way.
yeah.
Day 3 started in earnest, with yet another kayaking section of 11 kilometres and yet another victory for Team Wales. At the same time, on the other side of the island, 2 events were taking place. Mountain biking, which would take the leading teams 3 hours, and a brutal mountain running section with 6,500 feet of climbing. The slowest teams would finish over 5 hours behind the leaders. It became clear at the top of the mountain that in 3rd place were Team Wales, followed in 2nd by Parrot Lithgow.
Having led yesterday, it's motivated us all to just try that bit harder today, so we've all really pushed on. The deciding thing will be over the next 2 days when people start to tire, whether they can still think through all the logistics as well as all the physical aspects of the race.
It's early morning here and it's freezing. I've got so many layers on I can hardly move, never mind jumping into this. Ice cold water. The 1 kilometre swim on day 4 started with Parrot Lithgow and Team Wales pushing to close the gap on Compede Maxim, who were at the top of the leaderboard. But for the lesser teams, just finishing the swim was reward enough.
Just a great sense of achievement to just swim across it. There's quite a strong tide, so you've got to work quite hard. And for first activity in the morning, I guess it wakes you up slightly.
Wales were starting to push hard on the cycling leg, with kayaker Ian Tordoff giving Aled Rees a 10-minute rest from the bike.
Good help here, Ian's coming out, so I'm going to have to shoot. But it makes a bit of a difference, you know. I'll try and catch that group now. What I need...
Why take 10 minutes? Why don't you keep on riding?
It's just to freshen the legs. I've had a fairly tough morning. But 10 minutes, you know, 10 minutes is a fair bit of recovery.
Do you think you can catch that group?
I'm going to now.
Yeah.
Okay. See you in the village.
Yeah.
You're a paddler, what are you doing?
Well, I do a bit of cycling as well, just as cross-training. But no, it's okay. Downhill most of the way in the following wind. But we're going to have to shoot off now, so see you later.
Okay, thanks.
Just get in and drive.
Not only did Aled Rees catch the group, but he left them trailing. Not totally surprising for a man whose life is dedicated to his sport.
I'll try and train 3 times a day, 3 sessions a day. So 1 morning, 1 afternoon, 1 evening. Anything up to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Good, Jim.
Where am I?
The apparently lost Jim Davis of Parrot Lithgow enhanced his reputation as the best runner in the field, gaining time back on the leader's Compede Maxim and giving his teammate Morgan Donnelly a clear ride to the finish. Compede Maxim's lead was now down to less than an hour, nothing in adventure racing terms, with just 1 day to go. This is the final kayak of the final day, and we have some of the front paddlers coming in. Sean Morley for Team Compede Maxim has put in a superhuman effort to stay in touch with British international kayaker Ian Tordoff after 26 kilometres on the water. Sadly for leaders Compede Maxim, John Whittaker has experienced a serious problem on the running leg. What was a 45-minute advantage was simply melting away.
We had 3/4 of an hour lead, and then our guys just had a real bad groin strain of some sort out on the course, which lost us probably the race by 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, he was just out somewhere. We didn't know where he was. We all had to pile back down the course, go and find him. He was struggling out to a checkpoint because he hadn't given up. And then we've just carried on and finished as quick as we can. I mean, if we're going to lose we're going to lose by as little as possible. So.
Watch it slippy on.
We've reached the last event of the challenge. This log is going to be in the water, and the athletes are going to have to drag it back to shore in a dinghy, carry it to the finish, and then they can rest. Although this event may not be as physically gruelling as what the teams have faced over the last 5 days, it reminds us that above all, adventure racing is a team effort.
Cathy Freeman has had a career of firsts. In 1990, she was the first Aboriginal Australian runner to win gold at the Commonwealth Games. Another gold followed 4 years later in the 400 metres.